Hey, what's up, guys? It is Josh Thomas here, aka DFS Up North with Fanshare Sports, and we have another course preview here. Finally, back to a full field event. We get the Sony Open this week in Hawaii, in Honolulu. Really excited to get back at it with a full field here. Excited to break that down in our VIP Taking the Pulse article. That comes out Wednesday afternoon sometime, and excited to see, kind of this full field and what the pricing's out. I love kind of getting that first look at pricing. It's a really fun week. This really, I think, is the kickoff to the season. Last week, a little bit of a hit and giggle, obviously a lot of fun. JT getting the win, but we are back into the swing of things. It's not 34 guys. We're talking about a full 144 player field, and I'm ready to get into it. So I really think that if you haven't watched this before, I really think that one of the biggest things that you can do in your research is know as much as you can about the course. And that's really the point of this video. We do have some exciting things going on at Fanshare. We got a new video, got podcast coming out here soon. We have this improved lineup generator. I love it. It's so fast, right? Like, honestly, like, you can build 150 lineups in seconds. Some optimizers and lineup generators, take, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes sometimes to build 150 lineups. And, the one at Fanshare here is so fast. Love watching it, or love using it. It's got all sorts of cool tools, like it builds stars and scrub lineups for you. You can build by ownership. It's definitely a very unique generator, and I'm super excited about using it. You get the best ownership projections in the league. I should have a lineup generator video out hopefully this week once we get ownership projections loaded up. But speaking of those, we get the best in the biz. Last week they were spot on, maybe a little high on JT. People chose to go Ram, right? Kind of figured, kind of looking at it, right, that, they're both going to struggle to be around that 30% range. But other than that, like, absolutely spot on last week for the ownership projections. So we're going to make this short and sweet, right? Let's get into the video. So Waialae Country Club in Honolulu, the host of this year's event. It's a par 70 at 7,015 yards. So not super long. While Bermuda grows great in Hawaii and Maui and those areas, we do have Poana greens here. Another strong coastal type green, winter ryegrass in the fairways. It's a Seth Rayner design, so not a like last week we were on a Corin Crenshaw. It's not necessarily this classic design, but it's an event that guys have enjoyed playing over the years. Winners here, Cooch, big winner here last year, minus 22. Kazire on his back-to-backs here. I think he won this and then won the next week, right? I think at the Farmers or the Amex or whatever it was, when Kazire went on that big run in the spring. JT 2017, this was his back-to-back. He won the Century and then came here and won, so maybe he can do that again. Fabian Gomez, Jimmy Walker back when he was the best iron player on the planet. Russell Henley, another guy that's a really strong iron player. Yeah, you look at all these guys. What do? Great approach games. Okay. Not a ton of great putters here. Jimmy Walker, shitty putter. Patton Kazire, awful putter. He was in a midst of a streak where he was very good there, but not, Kuchar's a good putter. JT's an okay putter. Like, you don't really have to be a great putter here. The other thing that these guys all have in common, outside of maybe Thomas, not super long off the tee. I think that distance is really negated here. All well under 20 below, or 20 under par. We've had a ton of guys go under 60 here. So with the par 70, we're talking, shooting or 60 or better. Talking about 59s are definitely in play. When we look at kind of how the course is set up, lots and lots and lots of par fours, right? Good mix. We've got 5 medium par fours, 5 long, 2 short, 4 par threes here with the par 70, all kind of in that, 170 to 190-ish range, right? A decent long iron into them, and then 2 short par 5s that are absolutely gettable at the end of the first 9 and the end of the second 9. those par fives are going to be huge. I think that we are going to get a very interesting cut sweat this week with those par fives, right? I think we can see that number really bounce around as guys come in and, maybe make an eagle, maybe make a double, right? I think we could definitely see those play a big role. Lots of green here on the scoring card, right? Comes in at minus 1.08, the 11th easiest course on tour according to average score, 23% below average, a super high eagle rate here, which is really interesting when you think that, they're only playing 2 par fives, right? So we get a really high eagle rate, 0.71%. Second most compared to average on tour. Lots of birdies, like we talked about, right? Lots of birdies here. 10th on birdie average. Not a lot of big numbers to be had. Double bogey or worse is 1%. Bogey percentage 14%. So we're not really, if you're looking at key stats to look at this week, you don't need to see, that bogey, bogey avoidance is not going to be that big, right? But birdie or better percentage definitely will, right? Anytime we get a shootout, we want to look at that. Looking at the hole by hole data here, and what we've got, right? So number 9, that is the big one. All right, 96% par 5 eagle versus average. So 7.7% of the times they play this hole, there's an eagle. That's an incredible number, right? When we look at like some of the birdie percentages, right, that's up there with some of these, difficult par 4s. So that's a hole that if your guy's coming through, you definitely want, and he's in trouble. If he's finishing there, coming on the front, like we definitely want an eagle there, or birdie at minimum a birdie. We look at, it's let's see, pretty difficult start to, over par, under par, under par, under par, over par on the par 3s, right? Under par, over par, just barely under par, over par, under par, right? So, I mean, you gotta, the front is going to play fairly difficult. Now, when we get onto the back, that's when it's going to play a little bit easier, right? We got some of those, oopsies. Oh boy. We got some of those easier holes as we go to the back. Let's see if there's any holes that we look at as difficult. So 2 looks like it's going to play the most difficult on the course, which is surprising, right? When you think, well, it's not going to have as many birdies as 1, but it has a bigger number potential. Yeah, it's a tough start. If you're starting on 1, that's not a very easy go. I almost want my guys to start on 10 early just to get a big, a little bit of an advantage. We don't have right now. I don't know that there's necessarily going to be a tee time wave advantage. There is some weather this week. Again, we're going to have to deal with some wind like earlier in the week. But now this week that we have 144 golfers with kind of stacked tee times, we may be able to exploit that. So I'll talk about that in our Discord and taking the pulse, but that's something that you got to be a Fanshare Pro member for. Something that we found is very important here is Hawaii history. All right. Not just at this course, but in general, playing on these oceanside over here in Hawaii courses. And so what I did was that I pulled, and when we looked at this last week, this came up with like Justin Thomas, Patrick Reed. And I get that it's a small field and those guys are going to show up regardless. Right. But, you see the decent sample size. I went back 10 rounds on these guys or 10 events. Okay. Reed, Thomas, Kuchar, Woodland, Webb, Sungjae, small sample, but did very well here last year. ZB, an interesting guy that shows up here with a decent sample in Hawaii. And I think that when we talk about, the distance is negated, you're going to see guys like ZB kind of pop, right? They do well here because it doesn't matter how far you hit the ball. So I think that we should expect a guy like Zach Blair to do better here because he's a little short off the tee, but the guy can putt and score with the best of them. It's not too long for him. There's another guy we're going to talk about here in a second that I really like is kind of in that similar sort of vein. Decky, Mark Leishman, lots of studs, right? But the 2 guys that stick out for me here are Blair. And then I'm going right back to the well with Sungjae Im. Like the guy's a stud. I was on him from the beginning last year. I just think that I know he's priced up this week, but he's winning and he's winning soon. Jordan Spieth pops here. Obviously not in the field this week. He's going to be, he's sick. sick. I don't know what how ill he actually is. A little bit disappointed not to see him tee it up, because I think this is again a course that he's done well at and done well in Hawaii over the years, and a chance for him to really get his season started off right. But it sounds like he's not going to play until the Farmers. So again, you see lots of studs here, but again, you can go into our Fanshare Pro, into the research tab, and you can pull more than 10. You can go down to 20, 50, whatever, and see guys like, hey, you might find some more gems like Zach Blair, right? So my winner this week, I got Sungjae, like I said, just winning it. I think our chalk, all right, let's talk about this. Ches, great Sony Open history, but like I said last week, I'm very concerned about the switch to PXG. I think that he's going to struggle with those irons. It just, not because I think he's a bad player. I just think that PXG has a history of guys just that make the switch and don't play very well. Then they have guys that make the switch out, like Charles Howell III last year. The week after he left PXG, he won. So, or 2 years ago. So I'm going to be off Ches until he proves that he can do it. I know this is a really good spot for him here. He's not getting a ton of tags right now, but I think he will as the week goes on, and people start to get all their data together and look and go, oh crap, like look how good Ches was. GMAC, for whatever reason, is getting a ton of love this week. I think he's 6th right now in tags on Fanshare. So that puts us at at 6,800, he could be really chalky. Anything below 7K, like 6-7% is really chalky on a guy down there. And that's an avoid spot for me. I think we can see GMAC in that 10, 12, 13% range. We'll see what the model comes up with here, but definitely somebody that, I love the guy. He's a great coastal, great wind player. He doesn't have great course history here. His current form is not that good. Again, it's a numbers game, and that's why I think Fanshare is so important, right? It's not necessarily about GMAC not being a good fit. It's not necessarily about Ches being a bad fit. It's about those guys being under-owned or over-owned compared to the field, right? There are plenty of players priced around GMAC that I think are in as good of spots that are going to be half, 2/3 the ownership of GMAC. At least that's the way it looks right now. So you got to sometimes in your head get away from the, oh man, he's such a good play, and just look at it from a pure numbers perspective. And in GPP, like if GMAC is 10-12% on it and he misses the cut, like that's a huge percentage on a guy that's priced. And if you avoid that, you definitely get leverage on the field. So my sleeper is a guy that's similarly priced, and along that narrative, similar to ZB, short guy, can putt well, scores well, and he has great history here, is Brian Gay. Love him this week. I think he rates out extremely well. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on Lee's under the radar picks this week. He great history here. He was 13th, I think, 3 years ago. He's made the cut 3 years in a row here as far as I've looked back. And he is playing some good golf this fall. So I definitely like some Brian Gay. And another narrative that you can follow this week is guys that are coming over from the Century typically play pretty well here. There's a guy that I'm sure he's going to be popular, but regardless if he played well last week or not, I was going to play him. Sebastian Munoz is going to be a core play for me this week. He's a little bit priced up at 8,400, so maybe guys shy away a little, but you get a par 70 with a bunch of par 4s. Like Munoz is in play, doesn't matter. Like you got to put him in there. The guy just crushes these par 70 courses. So definitely somebody I'm interested in. And that's what I got. Like we'll have more on the site, right? If you're a Fanshare Pro member, we've got, the Discord, we've got all of that data for you to use, the research tab, the optimizer, the generator that we have. Love that. I'm super excited about. I don't know what you're waiting for. I really think that the most unexploited tool that people can use is ownership when they're building their GPP lineups. So if you're looking to take down a big GPP this week, you definitely want to get involved with us. So promo code Josh gets you 20% off any sort of Fanshare Pro subscription. You can get in for the last week of NFL too. So, or the last couple weeks of NFL here too. So get in with us. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS Up North. You can follow the Fanshare Sports account, DK Golf Bargains, my boy Lee. He shoved the end of the radar picks out today. And I'm looking forward to another great Sony Open and another great week of PGA DFS. All right, peace.